welcome to Austin and the Star of Texas Rodeo, which marks the end of the Texas swing on the Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour. Hello, I'm Jeff Metters. With me is Butch Knowles, and the Lone Star State will be well represented here. We'll see a handful of current and past world champions, guys like Will Lowe, Speed Williams, Rich Skelton, Trevor Brazil, Fred Whitfield. They'll let you know you're on their turf.
You know they will. It's funny though, they'll let you know no matter what turf they're on. These guys seem to find a way to win. Now we're at our halfway point on our winter tour, and for guys like, well, Rich Skelton and Speed Williams, they have really struggled through the first half. They come in here number one in the team roping. We'll see if they take advantage of it and get out of here with some points.
But it all starts with bareback riding, and what a way to start. One of my favorite cowboys, little Tom McFarland, matched up with Northern Pine Dip.
You know, needing points, Tom McFarland's right there, Jeff. He comes in 15th on the tour, so this is a big ride for McFarland. And right here, now this is where we've seen McFarland, if he has any faults, right at the end of the ride, it'll show up. But I think he's kind of getting things taken care of this year. I've seen him a couple times finishing these horses better, I think, than he did last year. I think it's going to pay off for Tom McFarland.
Made it to his first Wrangler NFR in 2003. Wound up finishing 15th in the final world standings. He rides just all out, and you can see that right here.
Well, and that's the point. You know, Tom just opens up so hard at the beginning. Sometimes he gets in trouble at the end of the ride. Here, I think he just stayed focused, stayed controlled. 84 points. That's excellent.
Yeah, that will put a smile on your face. Now to Larry Sandvik as he settles in there on Smokeless Bowtie. As Dodge takes us behind the scenes, you can see what he's accomplished in his career. $1.1 million in career earnings. That's a lot of bareback riding.
You know, and Larry hasn't won a world title yet, and I'll say yet because he sure could. Could have one time. It went down to the last horse at the Wrangler NFR. It was between he, Mark Garrett, and Deb Greeno, and of course Larry had the flank strap wrapped around his arm, ripped him off. He didn't win the world that year and let it slip away, and I think he'd like another opportunity.
Larry's one of those guys that he has kind of matured in his lifestyle and matured in his riding style, and that's why he's had the longevity, I think, that he's had.
You know, Larry is. He's a family man. That's his dedication right now. And, you know, he rides because he likes it. He rides because he's good, and it shows up. 83 points. Nice ride for Sandvik.
Man, these horses are ready to go. These cowboys are ready to go. We've had an 84 and 83. Now to Darren Lacina and Cool Water.
You know, I don't know much about Darren Lacina, but this is a good horse right here. Should really jump and kick. Lots of altitude. Lacina, good control. Feet back in the front end. He's right in front of things. Excellent ride for Darren Lacina. I don't know where he's been hanging out, but I think we're going to see more of him. Oh, man, nice ride. You see him get up holding that collarbone right there. This is such a physical event, but that's what you do. You open up and you go for first. You're riding against the best guys in the world. What a horse, though. Cool Water sets up, jumps, and kicks. When you look at it from a judge's point of view, this is a perfect horse. Direction change, never quits kicking, never gives up, all 8 seconds. That's the kind of horse you can be a lot of points on.
Maybe we need to get to know Darryl Lacina. Not in the top 20 in the world, not ranked in our Wrangler Winter Tour standings, but he has the lead here in Austin in the short go, thanks to that 88. Next up is a cowboy that we really got to know last year, Royce Ford, son of 5-time world champion bareback rider Bruce Ford. First Wrangler NFR last December for Royce Ford. He put on a show.
He put on a show. He's been putting on one ever since. He's number 2 on the tour, and his ability to ride just like this. Upper body straight up, feet clear to the rig, and Royce kind of overriding just a little bit, got him just in a little trouble, and I think just because he was opened up so much, got a hair behind right at the end of that ride, or he could have been a few more points. See him look at Larry Sandvik right there going, hey, I think I snuck by right at the end. That horse put it on me, 83 points, and he did make a mistake or two at the end.
4th in the world, but he's just about $2,000 out of first place. Here's Will Lowe, number 3 in the world right now, number 3 in our Wrangler Winter Tour standings, but of course he is the reigning world champion.
You know, and there's kind of a battle shaping up between Will Lowe and Royce Ford as we'll watch it for the rest of the year. And Will Lowe, now when you look at control, this is absolutely perfect. Will Lowe never at one time in this ride, Jeff, did he look out of control, and that's what you like to see as a judge. On the other side of it, you look at the horse. Does he kick? Does he stay strong? Absolutely, that was a perfect ride.
Had a record year in 2003. He won all 3 of the Pace Pecani Tour finales and more than $188,000. So Will Lowe, the momentum continues for him into 2004.
You know, look at this. Look how quick he's back to the front end. Now this horse, Will Lowe should ride this horse this well. Probably all the guys that have been out maybe would, but he does his job in 86 points. Doesn't win the go-around, but he's right there.
Yeah, 86 was good, but it was not the best. Darren Lacina came in needing the money, needing the Winter Tour points, wins the short go here with an 88. Then it's Lowe, McFarland, Sandvik, and Ford. Let's go to Jennifer.
Well, this is the first time we've seen Darren in the winner's circle, but I have a feeling it's not going to be a last. You're kind of legendary in North Dakota, staying around the circuit. Is this your first time to really pro rodeo at the tours?
Yeah, I guess it's the best opportunity I've had, so I decided to take it, and no regrets.
So what has been your opportunity, traveling with Larry Sandbeck?
Yeah, it was, I just called him one day and talked to his wife, and he called me back and said there's a seat open, so I took it.
And how has that helped you in your rodeo career?
Larry's not afraid to tell you when you rode bad, and he's got good constructive criticism to help you improve. So I need that. That's good.
Darren looks like he's been boxing in his spare time.
I was wondering when he said he's traveling with Larry, how did he get the black eye, by the way?
Wrangler Winter Tour standings, Royce Ford on top. We talked about the battle between Ford and Lowe, and you can see that in the Jack Daniels World standings as well. Royce Ford and Will Lowe, too close to call at this time. The gloves will come off later this summer. And the gloves will come off here in Austin when we come back. The big guys take over in the steer wrestling. OLN's presentation of the Star of Texas Rodeo from Austin, Texas. Tour stop number 7 on the Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour is brought to you by Wrangler, for the cowboy and you. By Jack Daniels Tennessee Whiskey. Nobody makes whiskey like Jack Daniels. By Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. And by Coors Original, real Rocky Mountain beer. It's Guys Night Out. Bareback riding is complete, and we move now into the big guy event, steer wrestling. Austin, Texas, one of my favorite cities in all of America. Just the atmosphere, the country music, and this rodeo is really good. And here's a veteran, Ivan Teagan, not in the top 20 right now, but Ivan has made 6 trips to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. First trip way back in 1988.
Well, he's got a good horse right here. Frank Thompson's horse, Frank on the hazing side, and Ivan just jumps out and makes a solid run. You know, Ivan is such a character. He could actually be a character in the Louis L'Amour book when you visit with him. He is an outdoorsy guy through and through. Outstanding steer wrestler and a good way to start it off.
And, you know, he's big, and now you got Todd Soon. And one of the things that amazes me about Todd, who has made several trips to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, 8 as a matter of fact, 6'2", only weighs about 200 pounds.
You know, he is such a good athlete. Right here, this steer handles just a little slow. You see, everything kind of just came to a dead stop. The steer, the momentum didn't carry him through the fall. So Todd had to kind of hustle through that. 4.4 seconds. He'll take that.
Puts him in the lead at the moment. Todd lives in Colorado, but he's a big Oakland Raiders fan. I can't imagine that goes over well with the Denver Bronco faithful.
Good look at it again. Now, see how this steer kind of tries to back up from behind him, so Todd hustles around there. Actually, he could have been, if that steer would have just carried the momentum, ran through that stop, he'd have probably been a little quicker, but he'll sure take that.
So 4-4 is the time to beat, and Trav Cadwell will be the next guy to go. He lives in Oakdale, California, not in the top 20 at the moment.
You know, I've seen Trav up in the Northwest for the past few years. He can definitely handle it. Brian Fields on the hazing side. Trav, good catch, kind of a little up over the steer. 3.8 seconds as Cadwell looks back at the barrier, sees it's clean. So things are speeding up. Nice run by Cadwell.
Qualified for his first and only Wrangler National Finals Rodeo back in 2000, and that 3.8, as we can see it again right here, that's going to put him in the lead in the go-around for the moment.
Yeah, this steer kind of set up right there. Nose comes up. Trav just hustles through it. Excellent run.
From Trav Cadwell, we move to Curtis Cassidy, a Canadian cowboy, good all-around cowboy. His dad, Greg, is the president of the Canadian Pro Rodeo Association. Here's a guy that's won about $500,000 in his career.
Well, you know, these guys keep track of these cattle now. This steer, actually, Blake Knowles, my son, had earlier this week. He was 4-9 on him, and right there, Curtis was too. Before the rodeo, Curtis goes, I need Blake's phone number. I got to call him to see about this steer. So I said, fine, here it is. Good luck. Whatever he found out, it worked. 4.9 seconds. Good run.
From Curtis Cassidy, we moved to Luke Branchino, and we saw him in the Wrangler Timed Event World Championships. This guy's a great all-around cowboy, not just in steer wrestling, but with the rope as well.
Yeah, Luke's a hand, but, you know, I think he's got the ability to win the world easily. He's got a very aggressive style. He's quick with cattle. You know, you can just visually see it. Same thing right here. You can see how he just goes after this steer. Good steer comes around, but Luke just goes right to the nose. Excellent run, a little further down the arena. He'll take her, though.
That is the second best time we have seen in the short go. Trav Cadwell still winning with a 3.8, and 2 guys remain. The first guy is going to be Bob Loomis, who right now is 9th in our Winter Tour standings, 10th in the world standings. He has been to the Wrangler NFR on 3 occasions, 39 years old, and so he would still like to make it back to that Wrangler NFR. Let's go to Jennifer.
Bob Loomis was winning the world for most of 2002, but last year he said he just couldn't get anything to work his way, so he ended up going home. This year he's lost 20 pounds. He's back on his old horse. Let's see if he can do the same thing he did at Houston, guys.
Really going to have to be fast right here. Have to beat a 3.8 to take the lead in this short go.
You know, coming off a big win at Houston, and Bob, he's focused, lost some weight, spent some time in the gym, and if you're 39 years old competing against guys like Branquinho and these young guys, this is what you have to do. It's a mind game. Loomis can handle it. 5.2 seconds, kind of a little slower steer. That's what he's going to get.
So 3.8 is still the time to beat it. Bray Armas is the only guy that has a shot at it now. Lives in Big Spring, Texas, which is located between Abilene and Midland. So we'll see if Bray can get to the winner's circle.
Good steer, good catch. That steer kind of came into him. He's lucky he got him caught. He came in a tie for the lead with Loomis as far as the average is concerned. And you know, nowadays, Jeff, they give points through each go around. The average has points, so you got to be concerned with the barrier. You can't just go for broke. Good run.
Now 4.9 will be good enough to tie him for 4th place in the short go. But Trav Cadwell gets all the money, 3.8 seconds. Branquinho is in 2nd place, 4 and 2. Then it's Todd Soon. Here's Jennifer.
Well, there's a reason we haven't seen Trav Cadwell on the circuit in quite a while. You've been off of an injury, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Had an ACL tear last year. Stayed home, regrouped, and now we're cracked back out, and hopefully we can continue this.
Now, what's so impressive to me is this is only your 3rd rodeo to come back.
Well, I guess that way I'm fresh, and I don't have a bad attitude already, so.
Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour standing, Stephen Campbell on top, but you can see Bob Loomis in there, 3rd place, Luke Branquinho in there, 4th, Jason Lahr, Mickey G, some good guys in the top 6. Jack Daniels world standings, Jason Lahr having a great year, $28,000, but these guys, I mean, from 1st to 30th, they stay bunched up. It's a photo finish to get to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. And now we move right on into our team roping, and it starts with Zane Bowers and Todd Arthur.
Well, you know, the thing about the team roping here, Jeff, everybody's kind of bunched up. In fact, less than 2 seconds separates the field. So whoever just gets it on and goes left, we have a quick turn right here. Nice run, 5.8 seconds. You know, you can see this is a smaller indoor arena, so things are set up to be fast. We'll see if that holds up.
Arthur and Bowers post the first time here in the short go, 5.8 seconds. Justin Davis and Twister Kane will be the next guys to go. You see a team come out early and put a pretty fast time on the board. The team roping from that point can go one of 2 directions. They can get quicker or they can blow up.
You know, and right here you can see Justin Davis was pretty late off that barrier. In fact, he was about a foot late, or he could have been even quicker. 6.1 seconds. That's a nice run down the arena, but he's thinking about that start right there. You know, that's the problem with that barrier. You have to time it perfectly, and to do it, you have to be aggressive.
Marshall Samples is the header. Kurt Jones is the healer. 5.8 still has the lead in the round. So you can see right there, 5.7 is the number they're thinking about.
Good steer, just kind of lopes out there and sets the run up. Good to be quick on, and that's exactly what these boys were. Kurt Jones, of course, was at his first Wrangler National Finals a year ago. He rode with Steve Purcell, so he knows what it's all about. Great run.
And that leads us to the reigning world champions, Speed Williams and Rich Skelton. You can see what they've accomplished in their career. 6 straight world championships, both in the $1 Million Club. Here's Jennifer.
Speed and Rich's lives have always seemed to follow the same pattern, and having kids is no exception. Both of their wives have just had baby girls, Haley Wynn and Rainey Lynn. Sounds like twins, doesn't it? Let's see how the Proud Papas do.
Well, these guys have a lot on their mind. They are not in the Jack Daniels world standings in terms of the top 20. They are not ranked on a Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour standings. The streak could be in jeopardy.
You know, but one thing about it, Jeff, one run, and this could be the run that could just all of a sudden change your momentum in the course of a year. It's much like, I think, a hitting streak in baseball. You can struggle, and then all of a sudden one swing of the bat and mentally you're clicked in. Whatever the case, don't wake these guys up because they're dangerous.
Samples and Jones win the short go. More on Williams and Skelton. I was talking to Rich before the rodeo, and I said, you're going to go hard in the second half of the Winter Tour. He said, hey, we went hard in the first half of the Winter Tour. They have just been stone cold. Wrangler Winter Tour standings, David Key on top for the headers. Frank Graves is number 2. But if you're Speed and Rich, they're 2 guys that when they catch fire, then other guys are going to notice.
Well, they are dangerous. You know, remember last year, Speed showed up at the Wrangler National Finals. He had the flu one night. The same night his wife had the baby, and you know, people were kind of feeling sorry for Speed, but I think every woman that's ever had a baby could have cared less about Speed. It's his wife that was struggling at the time.
Jack Daniels World Standings, Graves on top there for the headers. Culpepper on top for the heelers. And as we said, no Speed and Rich in the Jack Daniels World Standings at the moment. When we come back, the rivalry continues in the saddle bronc riding. We'll see Dan Mortensen against Glenn O'Neill. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Austin and OLN's coverage of the Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour. Jeff Metters along with Butch Knowles, ready for the bronc riding. It is same story, different city. A handful of the best bronc riders in the world seem to be making the short go everywhere we go.
You know, you're right. We may as well just replay all our other stops. We're talking about guys like DeMoss, Dan Mortensen, Roddy Haig, Glenn O'Neill. They're all riding good. They're all here. They're all battling for that #1 spot.
We're going to start with Glenn O'Neill. He was the world champion 2 years ago, runner-up to Dan Mortensen last year. Right now he's number 5 in the Wrangler Winter Tour standings, number 5 in the world.
You know, he comes in, he's got actually a horse that came from Canada. This is Sandpaper. Franklin used to own this horse. They sold this horse to Sammy Andrews, an outstanding bronc, just what Glenn O'Neill likes to get on. You can see the drop, the power. This horse showed up in some of the rank pins at the finals. And you can see that those swells were dropping away from Glenn during that ride, and he was feeling them. Typical Glenn O'Neill, though. He just lifts on his reins, stays aggressive. Good ride.
The bareback horses that we saw to start the rodeo were pretty lively, and that trend is carrying over now to the saddle bronc riding.
You know, you're right, Jeff. The stock here is outstanding. Of course, we have Mike Servey on hand along with the Barnes Rodeo Company, or MJM. Plus, Sammy Andrews rolls into town with his good ones, and this is one of them right here. Now, I talked about the drop. Drop is when your swells drop straight away from you. If a horse doesn't kick and kind of travel forward, then everything falls straight down away from you. You can see Glenn, he's just hanging on to him, trying to keep going. Excellent way he handled it, I thought.
Yeah,
85 points.
No problem for a guy that's won $1.3 million in his career.
Day off.
Buck Garlington's had a pretty good Texas swing, made the short go in Houston, makes a short go again here in Austin, but he's matched up with Dippin' Brown Bomber. And this was a great bareback horse. They moved him over to saddle bronc riding, and in fact, Dan Mortensen had him back in the Wrangler NFR at round number 4, 89.5 points on him.
Yeah, he is no day off in either event. You know, he used to be in the bareback riding. Billy Lay was 90 points on this horse one time at the Wrangler NFR. So Buck's got his hands full right now. We watched him at Houston. I was pretty impressed with Buck. He was aggressive. I don't know where he's been, but you know, you don't make the finals in Houston and then come right to Austin and make it again by falling off horses, although Buck's in trouble now as that stirrup comes over the top. He was hung up, sees boot come off, and thank goodness it did. You know, that's one of the things in the saddle bronc riding that you always think about is this right here. When you come over the top and you don't get rolled over, your toe hangs in that stirrup, and there's not one thing you can do about it until either your boot comes off or they step on you, or it's just not a place you like to be. I'm glad to see Buck up and walking away.
Yeah, some anxious moments there for Buck Garlington, but fortunately he is okay. Scores 73 points. O'Neill still has the lead in the short go with an 85, and that takes us to Ryan Mapston, 12th in the Wrangler Winter Tour standings at the moment. He's also 12th in the latest Jack Daniels World Standings.
Yeah, Ryan, you know, I was talking to him before the rodeo. He feels good. Everything's good. This is fire and lace. This is a veteran little bronc that Mike Servey actually bought out of Canada years ago. In fact, this horse was actually bucking back when I was riding broncs, but I think she's been better and better and better the last 3 or 4 years. Outstanding little mare, and Ryan Mapson just made an excellent ride.
7 trips to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. He was there in 2003, finished 15th in the final world standings. Good ride here. He's going to equal Glenn O'Neill with an 85, so we have co-leaders at the moment. We still have some pretty salty bronc riders, though, yet to go. One of those, the Canadian, Rod Warren. Snort is the bronc from Andrews Rodeo.
You know, this is not a very big horse, Jeff. If you're a bigger bronc rider like Rod Warren, for example, it's going to be a little tougher for him. We'll see how it is. Now, Snort, I've heard, really gets it on. You can see Rod a little trouble. He's kind of behind. He's just trying to get back, caught up, get going. You know, when that's happening in your mind, you know you're a little bit behind, and you're thinking, man, oh man, at the next jump I'm going to catch up. But on a little horse, if they don't really extend, they just kind of leave you trapped there, and that's exactly what happened to Rod Warren. But You're just glad to get that out of the way.
85 is the score to beat, and there's the guy that can do it, the reigning world champion, Dan Mortensen. He'll be in action when we return to Austin in just a moment. Carnival atmosphere here at the Star of Texas Fair and Rodeo. We're about the midway point of the saddle bronc riding, and there is Glenn O'Neill. Shares the lead at the moment with Ryan Mapston, but what the next guy does could have a big bearing on what happens here in the short go. Dan Mortensen matched up with Boot Scoot and Boogie, 3 appearances at the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Just a solid saddle bronc, the kind you want in a short go like this.
You know, if you're Dan Mortensen, this is like serving yourself a big old fat, slow pitch right across the plate if you're a baseball player. It should be a day off. Now, this is Rod Warren on Boot Scoot and Boogie. The only thing this horse is a little tricky on, that big rear out of the chute. But, you know, if you're Dan, you know it's coming. It's not a big deal. We're going to see how he handles it. And there it is, the big rear. Dan holds his feet. Now it's a matter of just get aggressive. Now, the average score on this horse is about 82.5 points. So Mortensen, he knows he's got a chance, opens up, kind of turns loose right at the end. That horse kind of flattened out, quit kicking and helping him. He's just amazing, isn't he?
He is first cowboy to win $2 million in a single rough stock event. Won the all-around title, had to get on a bull to do that. He's a good bull rider, just doesn't like to climb on bulls, and I think you can relate to that.
You know, the deal about Dan Mortensen, too, the deal about any world champion is you got to be able to handle all types of horses. Now, there's a lot of guys out there that ride good, that ride certain horses great. But Dan just seems to handle them all. You put him on a nice horse, he rides good. You put him on a rank horse, he rides good. You put him on this kind of horse, he rides even better. And he brought the score up, 85 points for Mortensen.
So 3-way tie for the lead now, and we've had a chance to see Dan Mortensen in a lot of Wrangler NFRs. Very seldom does he make a mistake, and when he does, he always finds a way to overcome it. Tim Edge is a cowboy that's 11th in the Jack Daniels World Standings at the moment. He'd like to find a way to get into the mix on a Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour, and this is the opportunity right here.
Yeah, good opportunity right here. Now this is Backstreet. Now this horse usually comes around to the left and a little trouble over by the fence. It's close. As you can see, he's a little disgusted as he gets up off the ground. Now when a horse gets into a fence like that, sometimes their head will come up. And it looks like that might have happened to Tim Edge, but he does get the score, 77 points.
Great Canadian bronc rider right here in Rod Hay. 4th right now in the Winter Tour standings. 4th in the world. 7 times he's been the Canadian saddle bronc riding champion.
Well, and this is a veteran bronc. In fact, Backstreet, that horse that Tim Edge just had, this is its mother right here. This is Dippin' Easy Street. And you can see how bloodlines work. This mare, you know, it doesn't matter. Every colt she seems to have seems to end up in the bucking string because that's just the way bloodlines work. She likes it, her colts like it, and Roddy Hay likes it. Nice ride. 13
trips to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. This guy was Rookie of the Year way back in 1989.
Well, you know, the only thing he hasn't won yet is a world title. And I say yet because he's capable of doing it. He's in the top 5. He's been in the top 5 his whole career. He's had opportunities, 80 points right here. It's going to hold him in about the top 5 right here at Austin. But Roddy Hay, he's outstanding.
Here's a guy that really has impressed us probably the most this spring. Cody DeMoss made his first Wrangler NFR last year, but man, has he exploded in 2004.
Well, he's the guy that Rod Hay and Dan Mortensen and Glenn O'Neill, they're all chasing right now. And Hot Sauce DeMoss, a little trouble right there. That horse kind of circled right at the end. Kind of quit kicking and helping him, but you know, Cody, he did his part. He's impressing me more and more and more every time I see him. He, much like Mortensen, I've seen him on a lot of different kind of broncs. He handles them all awfully well.
Number 1 in the Jack Daniels World Standings, number 1 in the Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour Standings, coming in here to Austin. Round results here in Austin, though, well, the judges were kind of hung up on 85. 3 guys with an 85, Mortensen, O'Neill, and Mapston. They will split the win in the short go. Let's go to Jennifer.
Well, not many of these cowboys can say that they barely made the short round because they just flew in from Hawaii. You've been having quite a trip, haven't you?
Yeah, it was kind of a nice little vacation after the winter rodeos. Been down in Texas for about 2 months and got to go have a little fun.
You actually traveled there with Coors. It had all the major sponsors. You actually got to teach Dante Hall how to ride a bucking bull.
Yeah, I must not have done a very good job, but it's a lot of fun. Coors is a great group, and they have great endorsees working for them. So I got to meet a bunch of really neat people, and we just had fun.
Wrangler Winter Tour standings, DeMoss still on top, 116.45. Dan Mortensen, though, right behind him. Roddy Hay third at the moment. Jack Daniels world standings. Dan Mortensen has slipped by Cody DeMoss, but it's still awfully close. Another past world champion right there at number 3, Billy Etbauer. When we come back, it'll be time for the tie-down roping. We'll see guys like Fred Whitfield and Trevor Brazil. We'll be right back. Glad you're with us for the Star of Texas Rodeo from Austin, Texas. Jeff Metters along with Butch Knowles and Jennifer Smith. Time now for the tie-down roping, and it's going to be a star-studded affair, including Fred Whitfield and Trevor Brazil, but Landon McClourty will start things off. Lives in Tilden, Texas. Here's a guy that's not in the Jack Daniels top 20 at the moment.
No, but he's right here amongst the best guys in the world. He has a good calf, and he has it on him fast, Jeff, so he can set the pace. Just needs to be smooth on the ground. Misses picking those back legs up, so one little bobble, and he still comes in at 8.4 seconds. Great run.
It's going to give these Cowboys following him something to think about, guys like Blair Burke and Trevor Brazil, and you're right, he had a great calf.
You know, this was a good calf. He didn't break and run real hard. He did break a little bit to the left, but that was okay. But right here, you can see he had to double grab those back legs to get him gathered up. That's the only problem that he had during the run. 8.4 seconds.
So that's the time to beat. The next guy coming up is a guy that has won 6 tie-down roping world championships. We'll go behind the chutes thanks to Dodge. And I'm not sure that you can put what Fred Whitfield has accomplished in one little baseball card. It has just been one thing after another. $2.1 million in career earnings. He was the all-around champion in 1999. Went over the $2 million mark at the Pace Pecani Pro Rodeo finale in Las Vegas last June, and he just keeps on rolling.
You know, he does, and he's having such a consistent year, Jeff. He's, what, number 2 in the tour, number 3 in the world. Much different than last winter when he kind of struggled on the tour till the last, 2 rodeos to qualify for the Winter Tour finale. So Fred has just been right on track, right where he needs to be. Good look at it right there. You see him block the calf, and then everything needs to be smooth. See how low he brings those back legs up. Misses picking that string up, but he just doesn't panic. He just thinks, okay, I missed picking it up. I'll just take one wrap, finish it off with a half hitch. I'll make up for that little mistake, and he does. Nice run.
8-6 puts Whitfield second at the moment. Trevor Brazil has had a frustrating 2004 by his standards. For more on that story, here's Jennifer.
We're used to seeing our all-around champion Trevor Brazil on the leaderboard in all of his events. This year, he's been off to a little bit of a slow start here on the Winter Pro Tour. He's not even in the standings in the tie-down roping, and he's 15th in the team roping. Tonight, he told me he just wants to focus on getting those tour points.
What really is amazing to me, Butch, number 4 right now in the all-around standings, and of course he won back-to-back all-around world championships.
Yeah, but that can all change, Jeff. And you got to remember, we're just in early April, so a lot can happen. Misstrings the calf and then hustles on through it. You know, and that's the deal about Trevor that I've noticed in all these events. Much like I watch Ty Murray and guys that work multi-events, when he needs to win, all of a sudden mentally he just gets zoned in. And right here on this run, you can see he was zoned in. No mistakes. He decides he's just going to run at it, make things happen. Right here, he misstrings the calf. He just goes right back. You know, he could have been in the mid-7s or late 7s right there without that one little bobble. But Trevor, you know, he may not be where he thinks he needs to be, but that's always subject to change.
Late seconds flat gives him the lead in the short go as Blair Burke backs into the box. Blair's had some back problems, some injury problems. That slowed him down just a little bit in 2004.
Yeah, he hurt his back in San Antonio, but you know, he's coming in here in second place, so I don't think that's a factor anymore. Good hustle right there. Grumpy stop, slides to his stop. Blair had to kind of restack those top legs, slowed him down just momentarily, but 9 flat. That'll hold him in there solid, but it's going to put him, what, in the top 5 in this round?
Despite the back problems, number 5 in the world, number 4 in the Wrangler Winter Tour. He's earned about $1.4 million in his career. And here's the last Cowboy, Monty Lewis, lives in Hereford, Texas. He's number 8 in the Jack Daniels world standings at the moment.
You know, Monty's got one of the bigger calves in this pen, and he's not a very big guy. We'll see what he can do as he hustles to him. Gets him on his side. Now Monty, if he can be quick on the ground, whoa, man, is he ever. Great run for Lewis, 8.5 seconds. Now he came in the lead here. So again, he had to think about that barrier. Broken barrier would have cost him, well, what, $3,000 or $4,000. So you don't want to forget about that part of it. Even though you want all 12 of these tour points in this round, he'll take what he gets.
So his time of 8.5 will be the third best in this short go. Meanwhile, Trevor Brazile showing some signs of coming out of his 2004 slump. He's going to win the short go here in Austin with a run of 8 seconds flat. So Trevor Brazile is in first. Landon McClourty finishes second, 8 and 4 to get a follow-up on Trevor. Let's go back to Jennifer.
Well, it's been a long time coming for Trevor this winter. A little bit of a slow start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. My only win was at Fort Worth, and it wasn't a tour rodeo, so these tour points were definitely needed, and glad it came here to Austin, Texas. It was a great rodeo.
It's gotten in pro rodeo to where these tour points can make or break your year, hasn't it? Especially with an all-around championship.
For sure. The tour finales are so good. The sponsors, step up to the plate, and they make them really great and exciting events because of that money, and it's really crucial in the world standings.
Wrangler Winter Tour standings, and while Trevor has struggled, we've seen guys like Cody Ohl and Fred Whitfield, Blair Burke, and Strand Smith get off to a rocket start. Cody Ohl especially, #1 in the Winter Tour standings. He's also #1 in the Jack Daniels World standings. He's also #1 in the all-around world standings. So Cody Ohl, the reigning tie-down roping world champion, is having a great 2004. And with that, we'll stay on the timed event end and set the barrels up. Barrel racing, Deb Wrangler will be the first out. Made the trip down here to Austin, Texas, all the way from Okotoks, Alberta.
I like this horse, Jeff. When you watch Deb Wrangler's horse, he runs a perfect pattern. She does it just in a light snaffle. So this horse doesn't have much stop on him as far as control of a bit, and he doesn't need it. Just run, run, run. And as Deb gets out of the arena, 15 and 57 100ths. That's a good way to start it off.
Well, she needs the points, she needs the money. She's not in the Winter Tour standings, not in the top 20, and that's the same thing for Rachel.
Rachel does need the points, and I like the way Rachel rides. I've watched Rachel through her career, and she always seems to have a horse that runs such a good pattern. And I think mostly it's because she is such a good rider. She positions the horse, she stays perfect as far as her body position. 15 and 76, though, she's a little off the pace behind Deb Wrangler.
She's been competing at this level since college. Amanda Clayman will be next to go, lives in Missouri. And Amanda kind of in the same situation. She is not on the radar in terms of our Wrangler Winter Tour or the Jack Daniels World Standings.
No, but she is hovering right around both of those bottom holes. So a win here would really help her in both positions. And this horse also, such a nice pattern. This yellow horse, we've seen him several times on the tour. 15 and 79 100ths.
Not the case for Sherry Estrada, #4 in the Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour standings. #3 in the world. She's behind Janet Stover, who right now is #1 in that Jack Daniels list.
And this little horse can absolutely fly. We watched this horse at Houston just own that big arena, big pattern, but can do it anywhere, anytime. As Sherry gets around the third barrel, and the more you ride a horse, the better you get in time with a horse. And you can see these ladies have been running all winter long now, and you can see flawless runs show up here at Austin.
But Deb Wrangler with that 15.57, still the best that we have seen. Last cowgirl, Brittany Posey, made it to her first Wrangler NFR last year.
Yeah, what a Cinderella story she had. She wanted to try to fill a permit, she did. She wanted to try to win the rookie, she won it. She wanted to make the finals, she did. She wanted to win the world, well, she almost did. She went there #1. And 16 and 14 100ths, a little off the pace here.
So Deb Wrangler was the first cowgirl out, and 15.57 was just too good. Nobody else could catch her. Sherry Estrada in second place, and then it's Rachel Sprout and Amanda Clayman. Let's check in on our Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour standings. Sherry Estrada, we talked about the good spring that she's had. You can see it right there, 97.5 points. Janet Stover, #2. Kelly Kaminsky also off to a good start in 2004. Jack Daniels World Standings, Janet Stover on top. Sherry Estrada is right there. Kelly Kaminsky and Darlene Casper all in the top 5. Well, Brittany Posey last year was a fairy tale season for her as she made it to the Wrangler NFR, ranked #1. She's our focus as we get back on the road to the Wrangler NFR.
It was amazing. It is every little girl's dream to run barrels in there. Everybody wants to do it, and even though I didn't have a good year, it was our good national finals. It was a very good experience, and I felt like this will help me for next year. I learned a lot at the national finals. I learned that you can't go in trying to win. You just have to let it happen. I felt like I tried really hard, and it just didn't happen. And it's just either you're weak or it's not. And it wasn't my week, but I want to have a chance at it again. the finals can make you or break your year. And I was lucky to have a good enough year coming into the finals to where I, made some money. But yeah, you have to be up on your game at the finals.
Great way to keep up with your favorite cowboy or cowgirl, the Jack Daniels World Standings, the Wrangler Tour Series, is to go to PRORODEO.com. When we come back, we're down to the last event. It's bull riding in just a moment. We are down to our final event at the Star of Texas Fair and Rodeo. Jeff Metters along with Butch Knowles and Jennifer Smith. Bull riding should be a lively one. We're going to see guys like Ryan Brown, a two-time world champion Bluestone. Ryan Brown, the first guy out, made it to his first Wrangler National Finals Rodeo last year, and I think he had to be a little disappointed with the outcome. He finally finished 13th in the world standings.
Yeah, I'm sure he was, Jeff, because one thing about Ryan Brown, he rides better than what he showed up in Vegas with. There's no question he wants to get back and prove that. And you see it right here. This little bull tried to drop him to the inside. You can see him kind of drop that rear arm, looked out over that outside shoulder, right back where he needed to be, hustled that outside foot. Excellent ride for Ryan Brown, and he needs the points, so that's a big ride.
I think sometimes when you struggle at the National Finals Rodeo, it affects your confidence a little bit. Ryan Brown not in the top 20 yet this year.
But like I mentioned, Jeff, one run, like we talked about Trevor Brazil or maybe Speed and Rich, or one ride, just like Ryan Brown, can just bring you right back to the top of your game and make you realize, hey, it really wasn't me. There were some other factors played a part in it. It's such a mental game. That 84 points is big for Ryan Brown.
Next up, two-time world champion Bluestone has to have mixed emotions about being back here. For that story, here's Jennifer.
Let's hope Bluestone doesn't have any deja vu from this arena last year. At the 2003 Extreme Bulls event, Blue broke his collarbone and separated his shoulder, having to have surgery. It ended any chances of making the Winter Pro Tour finale. He says he's actually just now getting back on his game. Let's see if this bull tonight gives him any shot.
I talked to Blue before the rodeo and I said, how's the shoulder? And he said, it's felt awesome. But this morning, he said, I woke up and it's pretty stiff and pretty sore again. Doesn't really know why, but we'll see if it affects him here.
In my opinion, Bluestone, when he's healthy, he rides better than anyone. That's why he won 2 world titles in a row. That's why he just dominates the Wrangler National Finals. He has the ability to stay out over his rope so well. Chest out, hustles his feet. He's a big guy. Probably stands nearly 6 foot tall, but that doesn't bother him. He is an outstanding bull rider.
He's like 5'11", 170, and you can see the strength that he has right here in this ride.
And when I say stay out over his rope, that's the trick to riding rank bulls. See how he almost looks like he leans out over the front of that bull. That allows you to stay up that. But you can't do it without hustling your feet and reposition your feet. Some guys try to do it, but if you don't hustle your feet to compensate for any of that, all of a sudden you slide off your rope and you're in trouble. So it's kind of a combination in there, but 88 points, that's the stuff Bluestone's made of. Great ride.
New leader, and it's the two-time world champion Bluestone. To Jerry Shepard now. Backdraft is the bull from Mike Serby. Here's a guy that's 12th right now in the Jack Daniels World Standings, 14th in our Winter Tour Standings.
Jerry Shepard, he's an outstanding bull rider in his own league. No question about that. He's right where he needs to be in backdraft. You can see kind of flat, raring, coming around there and gets him down to the inside of that spin. The whole way that bull wanted to well him, and look at the way that bull's built. Everything is tapered towards the back end, so it wants to run you off your rope. The whole ride, Jerry knows it. He's hustling that outside foot, trying to stay up there, but you can see he slides off his rope. Once you do that, boy, you're going down in there. I don't care what you do, and no score for Jerry Shepard. He's thinking about it. He'd like another look at that bull.
Shepard finds the well, so Bluestone still has the lead, 88. Lane McCaslin will be next. Here's a guy that's had a pretty solid Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour, number 5 in those standings. 15th in the world, but he can take a jump. If he can make the whistle here, and he's in trouble early.
Yeah, oh man, and he takes a shot. As you see right there, he's starting to get up. That little bull came around and just whacked him right in the head with that horn. So Lane McCaslin, I'm glad to see him moving there, but right here, that bull drops him in there, turns back, outstanding bull. And right here, when he was just getting up to run, that bull just came right under him and hooked him. And it did not look good right here, Jeff. Oh, he takes a shot.
Lane McCaslin gets off in the wrong spot, and he pays the price for it. We'll take a little break and return to Austin right after this.
Talk about professional sports athletes being tough.
OLN's presentation of the Star of Texas Rodeo from Austin, Texas, tour stop number 7 on the Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour is brought to you by Pace. Grab the Southwest by the bottle. By Justin Boots, standard of the West since 1879. By Mahindra Tractors, cultivate your dreams. And by Wrangler, for the cowboy in you. Lane McCaslam was a little foggy when we last left you, but with the help of the Justin Sports Medicine team, they have moved the Elk City, Oklahoma Cowboy out of the arena and have gone to work on him. Meanwhile, Bluestone has the lead with an 88, Ryan Brown with an 84. Watch out for this guy, Fred Betcher, 13th in the world at the moment, and also number 3, though, in our Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour standings.
Yeah, he's right at the top of the list, Jeff. And look at this bull getting there, jumps and kicks it. I think he's wanting to turn back right there to the left. As Fred, whips right underneath him. Good job getting out of there. There was some altitude on that frame. I'll tell you, look at this. You know, and here's the deal about Fred Betcher. Much like Bluestone, these guys are big, they're tall, so you cannot just slide up on your rope and get one hole with your feet. You have to hustle. Every time that bull peaks, you can see Fred's feet. He repositions him back in front of his rope. Excellent bull ride. For a bull that didn't turn back, he was no day off, 83 points.
Finished number 10 in the final Jack Daniels World Standings a year ago. Was having a great year until he tore his bicep last September. Now to Luke Kelly on a bull that I absolutely love, Indian Blanket from Mike Serby.
Yeah, Luke slides up there. He needs to be 89 points. He could easily do it on this big bull. Turns back, a little trouble. Good day to get on old Indian Blanket, though. He just turned back and spun, a little travel in there. He did give Luke Kelly a chance, but he just could not pull it off. Well, what a bull. You know, he's big, he's strong. I mentioned it, he travels. Now, when a bull travels, they want to bring your feet behind you, and that's kind of what happened to Luke right there. You see that inside foot get whipped up behind him. It takes a lot of effort to keep your feet in front of your rope, a lot of hustle, and he just did not get it done on Indian Blanket, but not many guys do.
Now to Paulo Crimber. He's matched up with B.A. from Salt River Rodeo, and this was a bull that was tough to make the whistle on as we go behind the chutes thanks to Dodge. 80% of the Cowboys that climbed on him last year didn't make it to the whistle. So far this year, 0 for 7.
Yeah, this is a good matchup right here. But Paulo Crimber, you know, he's kind of a part-time bull rider. Ended up 28th in the world, but I've seen this young man. He can ride. He's from Brazil, and he can stick it on one, and he's got a good ride started. Good job right there. Good second effort. He is there. So B.A. just gets snapped for the first time in 2004, and there's a little dancing by Paulo.
Kind of his trademark. If he makes the whistle, he's going to bust the move, and he could bust the leaderboard. Trying to beat an 88, Bluestone in the lead, but Crimber with a great ride here in the short go.
You know, and Paulo, he's got a great workout ethic. You know, he runs for 40 minutes every day. He does 2,000 crunches a day. So if you're going to be in shape, follow this guy around, and it pays off. This bull, when he turned back the other way, tried to whip him down over him. Excellent bull ride. 92 points for Paulo, and he earned every point of it.
Maybe taking a giant step toward that Pace Picani Pro Rodeo shootout in Las Vegas in May. 92 has the lead in the short go. Last guy, Trey Trawick.
You know, I don't know a thing about Trey Trawick except the point that he needs to be 94 points now to take the lead. And if he can do it, he's got a ride started. This bull is going, lots of momentum, traveling in that spin. He's moving over there. Man, oh man, did they stick it on some bulls right now. Excellent, excellent ride.
Well, if you're the judges, you're on a little bit of a hot seat here. Was it better than Paulo? Was it not? Well, they're going to have to sharpen those pencils here.
You know, at the beginning, I don't know. I didn't think this bull was quite there, but then when he started moving in that spin and fading and traveling, and of course, Trey just kept pumping in there, extra effort all the way. That's what it takes to ride a ranked bull. I'm going to leave it up to our judges. They're the best at this, but either way you look at it, that was just an incredible ride by Trey.
So Paulo Crimber in there with a 92, and for Trey, 94 points. And he's going to win the short go here in Austin. Boy, some fireworks in the bull riding. Look at those scores, a 94 and 92. Bluestone winds up in 3rd place with that 88. Let's go back to Jennifer.
A 94 score. This has to be one of the highest scores you've ever had.
Yes, ma'am, that's the highest. I've been 92 and been waiting to top it for a while, and I finally did. It feels good.
And at a pro tour, is this your biggest win so far in the PRCA?
Yes, ma'am. I've won a couple of seconds at Scottsdale and other smaller rodeos, but this is where I was wanting to do good, and it worked out.
Wrangler Pro Rodeo Winter Tour standings, Jesse Bale, 65.5 points. He's on top. Fred Betcher, we talked about the good spring that he's had. Cody Hancock also finding his stride in 2004. Jack Daniels, world standings. BJ Schumacher won an Extreme Bulls competition earlier this year. He's on top, $60,000. Dustin Elliott, he's good. He is in second place at the moment. Time for our Coors Original Extreme Ride. And it's one that Lane McCaslin may not remember. Excess energy from Guidry Rodeo, and this was a wreck.
Hey, what a good little bull. But little was part of his problem. That's kind of what got him into trouble. But right there, when he started to get up to get out of there, that bull did give him a shot. It's nice to see him. He's going to be okay. That's the important part when you see this happen.
Lane McCaslin still licking the wounds from excess energy. Our Coors Original Extreme Ride. Next stop for us, we're headed out west to Laughlin River Stampede. Join us Sunday, May 2nd, 7 p.m. right here on OLN. For Butch Knowles and Jennifer Smith, I'm Jeff Metters. We'll see you in Nevada.